And welcome back to the House Talks podcast. Today we are excited to have Mike Nolan on to talk about his journey playing hockey all over the world, becoming a mortgage broker, and now advising kids and their families on the best path forward to excel their hockey careers. You can follow Mike on Instagram at nexlevelhockey.ca and mikenolan.mortgage, and you can check out his website at nexlevelhockey.ca. Make sure you stick around to the end where we announce a podcast exclusive supplement discount available only at the Supplement House in Abbotsford. If you haven't checked out our social accounts, you can follow us at House Talks Podcast, and I hope you enjoy this episode.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, boys. Obviously, good relationship with these guys, being local around here at the rink all the time. So, today, I was on the ice in the morning. I did a U11 session, and so U11A1. It's actually pretty cool because the coach of the Abbotsford Canucks, he's one of the guys that's helping out there, and then the other guy is an ex-NHLer. So then you have this guy who's the Abbotsford Canucks head coach, and then you have, another NHLer, and then you have me kind of trying to run the show. So it's a little bit interesting out there because, obviously I'm kind of like, trying to figure out what to do and making sure I'm not making mistakes, but it's been very good.
You get nervous at all?
No, I didn't actually know until like 2 months. So I've been doing it for 2 months, and I just found out last week. So I had no idea. So I went up to this guy the week before, and I went up to him, and I was like, hey, like, if you need any help or if you need any things with these drills, like, let me know. And then after I found out he was the Canucks head coach.
If you found out before, you'd probably be nervous.
Yeah, if I found out before, I would have been nervous, but it was, it was good. And then, a couple privates, and then what else to do? Some email stuff, and then went to the gym, came and saw you guys, and then I had 2 other sessions. I do some stuff with Abbotsford female minor hockey too. So training some girls out there. It was really good. It was a good group. There was a small group. And then, hanging out with you guys. So thanks for having me.
When these kids are aware that you have these other ex-pros helping them out through the process, do they get a little more excited? Do you see them a little more riled up there? Or?
I think when you have like a certain status, I guess, so when they know that you've kind of been there and done that, they listen a little bit more, especially if you're demonstrating drills and if you're showing stuff and they see that you can do it very good. Well, obviously, it's like anything, right? It's like if you're trying to learn from someone in business, if they've been there and they're doing really well, well, you want to learn from that person. So I'd say it's the same thing in hockey, right? Like if you're out there saying what you're saying and you're doing it correctly, obviously the kids are going to want to follow and they kind of perk up that way.
Yeah, a little bit of context for everyone listening right now as well. So Mike actually grew up playing competitive hockey growing up. He's a lot better hockey player than Jazz and I will admit that, Jazz.
Yeah, on a good day, if you break your ankles.
I don't know, Jazzy's pretty good out there, right? You're a good stay-at-home D too, Karn. You're pretty good. Yeah, you're pretty good too, Kurt.
All-time points, assists, goals over here. Doesn't matter. More goals than you, bud. Anyways, but Mike is, so grew up playing very high-level hockey, not only in minor hockey, but college hockey, and also played professional hockey out in Europe as well, in the France League. Won that title. I must say, saw the footage, unreal footage. That's a friggin' yeah. No, guys, it's everything you can possibly think of. When you see the NHL playoffs and you see people going nuts here and the fans are super engaged, it's no different over there, if not a little bit crazier, because Europe has a crazy sports following. Like they follow their teams very, very close, and the way they do things, like their cheers, their chants, like the Viking clap, and things like that. And Maria's showing me, it's unreal. So it's a little bit of context for you guys. So when it comes to Mike, I know he's talking about the Abbey Canucks head coach and professional hockey players. He is a professional hockey player, professional hockey player. Was yes.
Was.
So that is one of the reasons. If you're thinking, is that what he's doing? Well, yeah, that's what he's doing because he's been there, done that. And there's a lot of kids that want to go that route as well. And our boy Mikey here is helping them achieve that. So
yeah, I guess I can give you like all the listeners a little bit of context. So grew up locally here, so I'm from Aldergrove, and played minor hockey. Like I played at the Burnaby Winter Club. I'm sure you guys don't like them particularly.
I played House Man. Child's played against them.
So yeah, I played BWC, and then I played like Vancouver Selects, and then I played for Yale Hockey Academy as well. And yeah, it was really good. Like I was always on the best teams, but wasn't the best player. So I ended up playing Junior A in California when I was 17, 18. And it was just good to get out and get out of the environment. So I head down there and it just went really well. I loved it. Obviously lived in California was pretty sweet. But I just progressed as a person and really grew up and, started networking a lot too, right? Started figuring out what I wanted to do in life. And then I got a scholarship to go, play in the NCAA. It was a hard adjustment, junior to college, like first 2 years, barely played. But by the last year I was playing lots and, had a very good relationship with the team, and it was just fun, right? And then COVID happened. So my last year, I was actually in spring break in Florida with all the boys, and I was planning on working at a bank. And I came back, and then, there was nobody was hiring, nothing was going on. So I was like, well, I might as well try and, go play. So I was researching teams online, and I was just Googling through different leagues. And then I found this place, Morzine, and it was like the coolest video ever. We should pull it up maybe when, when you do the editing. But this video was just like the French Alps, like Whistler basically, and then they got thousands of fans every game, and I was like, I want to play here. Like, I was like, this is where I want to play, right? So anyways, I called a bunch of agents, and everybody's like, oh, I can't get you there, I can't get you there. And then finally one agent I talked to, he's like, all of the guys at Morzine are my guys. And I'm like, well, you're my guy. Adrian Soon, quick shout out. And so anyways, he's like, hey, if you go play, because it was full, he's like, if you go play here this year and you do really well, which I know you will, I'll get you there next year. So anyways, we were working on a contract. I think it was in Germany. And then, what happened was the one forward ended up getting his girlfriend pregnant. So he ended up getting his girlfriend pregnant. So then he couldn't come play. And then there was one roster spot. And then I ended up getting the spot. So it was like on the fly. Like, I thought I was like, didn't know where I was going. And then within 3 days, I was signed, sealed, delivered, flight booked, heading to France.
Sick assist by that buddy's girl there, eh?
Yeah. Sick assist by buddy's girl, yeah. Hey, that's what I heard. That's we're on the street. No, fair enough. It worked out, right? Yeah, it worked out.
But let's backtrack a little bit here. You said you moved out to California for junior. How was that transition over there?
We're in California.
I don't know this. So Fresno, California. The transition... Yeah, it's probably at the top, right? Like, places you want to live in California, Fresno, Bakersfield, then you probably got LA, San Diego, after that, right? No, I'm joking. Fresno was actually a very nice place. I had a great billet family. The adjustment was hard though. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like, you show up there, I don't know anybody. I was 18, and I drove down there. I used to drive a purple car too. Like, I had this purple sports car. So I drove my purple sports car all the way from my house down to this place in California. I remember I showed up the first day. I had a tank top on that said LA, like cut off jean shorts, and everybody's like, who's this guy, right? Like, who is this guy, right?
Guys, you ever been to like a rave before and you've been a couple times and like you can pick out that one guy that's like his first time there, like just dressed all like razzle dazzle and shit. That's Mike, first time in California.
When I showed up, like, and all the guys, right? But everybody was super inclusive. I remember, like, getting sentimental here. It was probably one of the when you become a man, I guess, like that one moment. Like, I remember I was at the rink and my parents, they drove down with me in a separate car. And then I remember they left like the next day. And I remember I like gave my parents a hug, and then they walked out that door, and it was just like the craziest feeling in my world. I remember I went into the bathroom and cried, right? Like, I literally went in the bathroom and just cried because it was like, I'm here, right? This is, I'm the only one here. Like, I'm fiending for myself. And then the first week was so tough. I couldn't figure out my phone plan. I couldn't figure out any of this kind of stuff. But anyways, ended up battling through it, and I'm happy I did because it changed my life, right? Like, it changed everything going down there.
Because, like, I'm sure when you went, it was one of those things where people probably ask you, are you ready? Are you ready? And I'm guessing your answer was probably like, no, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, the guy just randomly called me, Bryce. He just called me, like, I think it was like 2 weeks. I was going to go play junior B, right? I was going to pick up a trade. Like, I was going to go pick up a refrigeration trade and go play junior B. Like, my whole life would have been totally different. This guy calls me out of the blue, basically says, hey, I got a place for you to play. I got a place for you to live. Do you want to come to California? And I'm like, absolutely, right? I'll be right down. So it totally changed everything. And the adjustment, like the hockey, it was just easier for me for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's all the training up here, but when I went down there, it was an okay league, but it just was easy. Like, the guy gave me every opportunity, and I grabbed onto it.
Actually, we did look up your stats, Mike. You did rip it up. Yeah, it's safe to say, Hockey DB, search up Mike Nolan. Yeah. No, he definitely did road grab. No, that's crazy, man. Just speaking on just how one simple phone call, one simple decision can completely change the trajectory of your life, right? Because we might not even have, like, let alone Mike Nolan, the hockey player, but Mike Nolan, for mortgages or for next level hockey entrepreneur. Exactly, all these different endeavors that you're in. Your mindset probably wouldn't have even been there. You know, your horizons wouldn't have even been that expanded. You just would have been so narrow-minded, possibly, right? But that's crazy to me. I did not know that, man. That's
and
nuts.
I think, like, I actually truly believe that, right? Like, I think people get put into your life for certain reasons. You know, I don't know. Like Bryce, like that phone call, like I almost didn't answer it, I remember, because it was like Fresno, California, 559. And I was like, oh, that's a telemarketer. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you know, I answer, and it's like the biggest phone call of your life. So it's like, it is, you know, one person, one phone call can change your life, right? Obviously, I did a lot of work to get up to that point, but one person believing in you can change your life, right? And I tell that to, you know, a lot of players, right? I tell that to a lot of different people, right? Whatever it is, like making that big decision and kind of, you know, taking that step, you know, one person can really make an impact, right? And it's not too small just to, you know, even go on and say thank you, or, you know, little things like that, you know, it could change someone's day, right? And that's important.
Definitely. And it makes you think, why you too, right? I'm sure you must have done something right in order for him to call you, and maybe not 5 other guys, 6 other guys, or whatever it may have been.
How was Minnesota? Because that's one heck of a shift from California.
Yeah, oh yeah, like total culture shock in the sense of like snow. Like I've never seen snow before, so I remember like the first snowfall, I was like, what is going on, right? Like it was freezing. So that was like, but everybody in Minnesota, they're very nice people, right? They're like Canadians, right? They're very nice people. I got treated very well. The hardest adjustment for me was just like I didn't play, right? And so I went from playing in California where I played power play, penalty kill, first line, producing points, scoring, to going to Minnesota and I'm sitting for 5 games in a row in the stands doing video, right? Yeah, so it was a big adjustment for me, like mentally, because I've never had to go through that, but I just decided to stick with it and stay after practice and work at it. And yeah, it ended up paying off. But yeah, Minnesota was just, it was a good place. I wouldn't want to live there permanently. But it's a good spot.
But hockey state for sure. Like, have you seen
the
their
state of hockey?
Yeah, the state of hockey. Yeah, have you seen their high school high school tournaments? Holy shit.
Yeah, they fill up like 20K for like a high school game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For A, I think it's AA and single A there. But yeah, they're dedicated, right? And they love it. And honestly, Minnesota, they develop a lot of really good hockey players, right? Like a lot of really good hockey players come from Minnesota.
The U.S. development program, like a lot of those kids, if it's not there, if it's not Michigan, if it's not places like that, like a lot of them come from Minnesota, that's for sure. I mean, like, Mighty Ducks is based out of Minnesota, was it not?
Yeah,
the Mighty Ducks, yeah.
I think
they were. Yeah, best movie, Coach Bombay. Shout out Coach Bombay.
But yeah, I guess in Minnesota too, like, so when I was doing all of that, you know, when I wasn't really playing as much, I just kind of started to focus a little bit more academically. So I really started to focus on, like, you know, what do I want to do and what kind of internships do I want to get? What degree am I going to get? And that kind of, you know, helped my brain because I was focusing on something else. So that's kind of where I put all my energy towards. And so essentially, you know, I've been working at, you know, building businesses and building myself, you know, probably since I was like 20, right? So, you know, it takes a long time, right? Like I'm 28 now. So it's not like it just happens like that.
And yeah, like it's all chance. Like if you were in Minnesota playing all the time, you might not have had as much time to focus academically.
Yeah, or I just would have been too comfortable and just would have been out every weekend. Right? I mean, it probably was out quite a few of the weekends, but, you know, I don't know. When you get everything given to you, it's just a little bit different, right? And so working for it, I'm a firm believer that, you know, it's important.
So what made you stick with it? You're saying doing top line minutes and getting benched for like 5 games in a row. What made you keep pushing your hockey journey?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jess.
I think it's tough mentally, right? Just being like an all-star one team, then getting another team, and then just kind of just battling. Mm-hmm. What made you keep the love for the game, keep going?
I think it was just more like I knew I could be in there, right? Like I knew I was like, okay, like if I'm not there, I'm really close, right? And I guess just like my junior coach, like the way he trained me, right? Like he was hard on me, like really hard on me, to the point where, like, you know, me and him got into it, some pretty verbal arguments, but it grew me for the better. And, you know, I just knew that if I continued to work at it. That, you know, like anything. It's like anything you do. What did I say to you the other day? Like we were talking about, like if you had like a knitting class and if you put it on social media and if you just kept doing knitting classes and then you made a date night out of it, you know, you could create a business for knitting. It's the same thing in hockey, right? Like I knew I wasn't in there, so I knew I needed to work that much harder to get better than those other players. And I just kind of stuck with that for my whole life. Right.
Confidence was there at the big thing.
But yeah, like the same thing actually, like once I, you know, graduated and when I went to France, like the same thing happened in France as well. Like I went through probably the lowest of lows was probably in France, my second year, because I ended up, so I'm an import player. So how it works there is you can only have 4 import players, right? So everybody else is French. And then you have, you know, 2 Canadians, 1 American, 1 Slovak, Czech, Russian, whatever it is. So anyways, I'm brought there to score goals. That is the entire purpose of why I'm there. They don't care what I do. Like in Europe, you can drink, you can be, like obviously can't be late, but like, you know, it's just more of a free-for-all. If you're scoring goals, go nuts, you know? So I wasn't producing points, right? I think in my first 7 games, I had 2 points. And my coach is on me, and I'm not doing good mentally. I was living alone. It was a very, very hard time in my life. This was like 2 years ago. And then I just did the same thing I did there. I just like went to the rink early, shot extra pucks. You know, I stayed after and helped, you know, do whatever I was doing, talk to my coach. I watched film. And then actually my dad came to visit me. And that honestly totally switched my entire year. I was about to get fired from the team. Like that's how bad I was playing. I wasn't playing bad. I just wasn't scoring. My dad comes, switches everything. I think in my next 7 games, I had 20 points. Well, right?
What shifted there? Like, of course, I know one thing growing up playing hockey is your parents were everything, taking you to practice, taking you to games and things like that. And of course, you want to impress them the most. They're the ones investing the most time. So was it just more so that, just, you know, show pops that you still got it, or?
Show pops, you still got it? Show pops, they still got it? I don't know if I ever had it, but no, I think it was just just being comfortable. And like, it was the first time. So like, you know, obviously I lived away from home for a long time, but I never lived alone. So like this, like the second year in France was the only time I actually lived alone. So I'm in an apartment by myself. So if you have a bad practice or you don't score, normally come home and do this, right? Sit with the boys, you know, bullshit, say whatever. And then all of a sudden, you know, I don't have that. So now I'm internalizing all these thoughts. I'm also in a different time zone, so I can't be calling my buddies and talking to them because it's just totally different. So I think I just was like, everything was just kind of eating up and building up and building up to the point where when my dad came there, like I remember the first day he came, I had the best sleep I ever had, like in France, right? I just slept like a baby. And then the next day, like I talked to him about everything, and then it just continued to build. And then, yeah, just like once I just like kind of got a little bit of confidence, I had a couple, you know, altercations with my coach as well, of like him kind of being on top of me, and like he'd be behind me in practice, like, you need to score. And then finally, once, you know, I got to that point of like, you know, I'm doing better, you know, I had some choice words for him and just kind of was like, hey, like, you got to like leave me alone. Like, I'm doing fine, just back off, right? And, you know, it ended up working because obviously, as you said, Karn, like, you know, in the last, you know, in playoffs and all that kind of stuff, like, you know, I played some really big minutes. And, you know, when we were, you know, the last minute of when we were championship, it was 4-3. Like, I was on the ice, right? So I went from a guy that was almost fired, you know, to the guy that he wanted on the ice in the last minute of a championship game.
Was that the end there when you guys scored, where that guy bailed and then sauced it over, just put it in? Was it that clip?
No. This was like the.
Was that before? Oh yeah, one of my.
I don't know if you ever seen that.
I don't know who we're talking to, but this Mike guy has just been way too humble right now.
No, I didn't. Oh, actually, yeah. No, you're right. Yeah,
no,
you were right. You were right. Yeah, you were right.
Yeah. That D-man bailed.
He did bail.
Yeah. Your guy, was it you or was it one of your teammates? So just went right around him, sauced it over, and boom, back of the net.
Yeah, the guy was coming down. I think it was 3-2 at that point, and it was third period, like 5 minutes left, and just came down. I noticed the guy. I went from one side to the other, and then he like He didn't toe pick. His like heel hit his toe, and yeah. And then I noticed that. So immediately when he fell, I was just like, oh man, I got like a chance here, and then just fed the guy back door, and then that was 4-2, and then they scored again 4-3, and there was nothing more stressful than that last minute. You know what I mean? That last minute of when you're sitting there.
Oh man.
And I remember like I played like, I don't know, a lot in the last 10 minutes. So like when we won, I couldn't even breathe. Like I was so out of breath that I was just like like trying to like catch my breath and like breathe, and like I couldn't even really enjoy the celebration too much because I was so out of gas. Like I literally left everything I had out there.
There's no better feeling, eh? Like when it comes to like hockey or anything, but especially hockey, when you know you gave it your all, you know you made a big play, that assist, and you win, then you're just sitting there and you're just soaking it all in. If you can breathe, you can't breathe, but you're like, holy shit, we did it. I mean, that's nothing beats that.
Yeah, I mean, just like the way it was too is like at like, you know, every year at the end of the year, you always like that last game, you always leave it all out there. But like every year at the end of the year, I think for the last, I don't know, 9 years, I cried. Right? Every year, and probably 20 years. Like every year at the end of the season, you have a relationship with all these guys. Like you're sad, right? It's like you look around at you and you and you, and it's like, man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna play with you again. I don't know how much I'm gonna see you. So like when you win and you leave everything out there, it's just a totally different feeling, and that's why I hung him up. Because I was just like, I peaked, I plateaued. Even if I go play in a better league, or if I go play, like the opportunity to me winning, like that was the last game I played was the most fun game I ever played. There was the most people there. There was, you know, best atmosphere. Like it was sold out crowd and warm up. You know, it was just fun, right? So it's like you plateau and you just kind of got to admit it. Like, you know, Tom Brady, like when he went to Tampa, like he won. You should just retire, man, right? You did it, right?
Yeah, especially for as long as you played too, right? How long is your career? Like 10 years, plus years?
Well, yeah, like my whole life, really.
Yeah.
Right? Probably 5 to 27.
Which it's like you got to find yourself all over again.
Kind of. So like, but the way I did it, it just helped me out a lot. So I actually like, you know, I got a finance degree. So during like school, I had a bunch of different, you know, internships, right? Wealth management, private equity, you know, financial analyst. So like I had a pretty good resume. So anyways, the year before, like before the last year I went to France, like in that summer, I almost took a job, like a private equity job. And I was like, you know, should I take this? Should I go play my last year in Europe? And I was like, you know, right in between it. And then I kind of realized to myself, actually my dad said it to me. He's like, hey, like, I love you, but I don't think you can ever work for anybody. And I hope that you take that in a good way, because he's not telling me, you know, he was like kind of telling me like, you can't work for anybody. So anyways, I quit the job, which everybody looked at me crazy because it was a good job. And I told my coach in France I was coming back, and then I studied for my mortgage broker's license. So that summer before I went to Europe, I was studying the whole time. And then I picked up a job doing an advising role. So I work as an advisor for a company out of Buffalo, New York. So that's something that I picked up doing to make some income. And obviously it's hockey related. So I did that, and then I studied for my broker's license. And then I got my broker's license the day before I left Europe. So pass the exam, hop on the plane the next day, and then I'm going to France drinking wine on the plane, right? So you know, I had a plan essentially, right? I couldn't have just left, and because a lot of guys do that, and then it's tough.
You notice somebody that they're leaving a sport sometimes and they don't have a plan and they're just like spinning their tires a little bit.
100%, right? Like I would have kept playing, put it that way. I just would have kept playing until I had something lined up. Every single summer I came back, like the private equity firm I was working on the summer before, I lined that up the year before. So I was kind of lining things up before so that I knew I was coming home for something. Because I always had hockey to fall back on. All right. But yeah, you need to have something, and you got to use your resources too, right? Like if you are, you know, a good athlete, anybody would hire a good athlete, right? As long as you have a good attitude and you're presentable and stuff. Like people want athletes to work for them. So, you know, go put your name out there. Go introduce yourself to people, build a LinkedIn, whatever it is, right? Call people and just get meetings, and then just continue to, find out which avenue you want to go to, and people will help you, right? If somebody called me and wanted help, I'd help them, right? And I'm sure, not everybody would, but a lot of people would, right? People want to see other people get successful.
No, that's pretty dope. You went out on your own terms, as opposed to, an athlete playing whatever sport, they get hurt unexpectedly, and then they have to go out because they have no choice, right? Or sometimes they age out and they're just trying to hold on to this dream for so long. They get out, and then, that's where a lot of mental health problems arise too, right? Like you see it from anywhere between someone graduating high school when they turn 18, they thought they were really good at basketball, but it turns out they're not that good, or hockey or whatever it may be. But especially the part of you going out on your own terms, I feel is probably huge for you. When it comes to, going into entrepreneurship, starting, all these new things that you're doing. and probably just coming to grips as like, you know what, I did everything that I wanted to do in hockey, and time for a new chapter. Going on high, yeah, with the Tom Brady thing that she talked about.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Obviously, he just loved the game and just wanted to continue playing. But, like, I don't know. At some point, right, you get to the top of a mountain, it's like you just got to know, right? I just knew that, like, and I knew coming into that year, I guess, as well, because I got my broker's license. I was like, this is it. This is the last dance. And then the fact that you win, too, just makes it that much sweeter. Like, once we won, too, like, I'm never going to relive that party. That was debatably the best party I ever went to. We went in our full gear into the upstairs bar at our arena. So, like, everybody's in their full hockey
Skates
gear.
on.
Skates on. We're upstairs at the bar. Like, we were the bartenders. No bartenders. Everything was free. We're just pouring shots for everybody. Guys are crowd surfing in their hockey gear. It was nuts, man. Right? Like, it was like we were, I think it was like, my buddy there, he found a little pocket bike. So me and him found this pocket bike, and we had our jerseys on and we had our medals on, and we were ripping through the middle of this village on a pocket bike at like 4 or 5 a.m. And the police saw us, people saw us, they're like, oh, it's the Penguins, like you won, right? It was the funniest thing.
That's
No
sweet.
rules.
Yeah.
There was no rules for like a good 24 or 48 hours. So
I love it.
Running behind you guys, right?
oh yeah, like the next day we went up to like, the top of the mountain, and then they had like this like ceremony and everybody was there. It was like, there was just no rules, right? Because it was the first time they ever won like that league. And then obviously we won at home. So it's like, yeah, you just can't top it.
Are you showing us pictures of smoke grenades going on?
Yeah, smoke grenades. Like the French guys are crazy.
They
man.
ran on the ice and everything, eh?
Yeah, the European guys, like they were crazy. And there was a lot of English people there too. And, Canadian guys can drink, French guys can drink, but English guys, it's just a whole different ball game. Irish, Scottish, English, like, it's not even fun. It's not even fun. They just, like, we get drunk, they just get, like, obliterated. Like, it's like, it's crazy. Normally when we're tucking in, when you had a few drinks, you're like, I'm going to go to bed. These guys just go, I'm going to have another 10 more, right? They just love it. It's insane.
Well, no, but like on topic, like how was it to play fan base wise in Europe versus North America? Any differences at all? Do they get a little more riled up behind you boys, or?
For sure. It's just a different culture, right? So, like, they don't know what hockey's normally like. Right? Like, they don't know Canadian hockey, right? When you come to a game here, like I go to a decent amount of games, it's like, it's normal to us. When they go to the game, it's like, you got everybody standing, there's chants. When you get a penalty, like I'd get a penalty, they'd be in the box, Nolan, Nolan. They'd be chanting, right? Where my coach is probably over there just choked at me, right? But like they're screaming my name like stoked because you got a penalty, right? It's just different, right? Totally different. I love the atmosphere though.
Be the box the whole game, someone chanting my name.
Yeah.
On the coach is
Yeah, I want them to shout my name. Yeah, they just loved it, right? So there was certain things about the crowd and just like the lifestyle, I guess, that was really cool. But it was boring for me because obviously, I have a busy mind, right? I like doing things and I kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to do with my life. So once we did that, I was kind of like, there's a lot of downtime when you're playing hockey, right? You practice, you work out. Well, that's 3 hours of your day. What else do you do all day? There's just ample amount of time. So that's why I got that advising job. So I had like, at least was a little bit busy and I had an ability to make money online. But there was just, it's just like, it was kind of boring, to be honest. Right?
And that advising job you're still doing now too, right?
Yeah, so I still advise. I love it, right? It's great. It's, essentially mentoring young individuals into, obviously helping them, find teams and stuff. But, there's a lot that goes into it with like watching film, setting goals, and like life stuff too, right? Like just teaching them about like, hey, like this situation's going on with your coach. Well, don't hide from it. Go engage and have a conversation with them. And it's the same thing if you have a boss or whatever it is. It's like, go have a conversation. Okay, well, how do I do that? Well, let's brainstorm and write down some notes, right? So teaching them how to like attack these different things. And it's, it's very rewarding, especially when I get them on the ice. And, once you start seeing like a couple of my kids are talking to Division I schools right now. That's pretty cool, right?
That's
like,
cool.
If these kids end up,
That's
going
huge.
Division I, it's like, that's pretty sweet, man. Like, and, maybe I'll have to fly out there and watch a game, right? So
Nice little business write-off.
We'll come watch some games, take some notes for you.
yeah, take some notes. So we'll be scouts, right?
Yeah, of course.
Your scouting staff.
So how many players did you start off with, or kids back then, and how many are now?
Oh, geez, I don't even know how many I had. Probably like 7 to 10. I'm kind of hovering around like, I think 15, 16 right now.
Sweet.
So yeah, it's just something I do more to stay in the game. And, like when I go watch my players, like I'll bring my dad with me. So like me and my dad will go watch games. It's a great time to spend quality time with him. He tells me what he thinks about the players because he's a great hockey mind. So, and then it keeps me involved in the community too, right? Like, obviously I've done mortgages for people that I advise, right? So that's, great. It's a networking tool as well, right? Meeting all these people.
That's super niche, man, but it's super cool too, because what I will say, when we were growing up, when we talk about this all the time, we didn't know what anything was. All we knew was you play for your minor hockey team and you just do your best. And if someone likes you, you try to make a rep, you play rep hockey, and someone will find you one day, and then you'll play for another higher team, and then hopefully someone will find you again, and then you make the show. But really, it does not work like that. Unfortunately, there are a lot of politics in sports, and because of that, you will need some guidance. I feel, especially nowadays, there's so many academies for every sport. I've been noticing. I have nieces and nephews that play, whether it's minor hockey or football at prestigious high schools or whatever it may be, and they could be. What I found is they could be at the same skill level as they are now. Really, really good players. But if they're not suiting up for the right organization or not getting in front of the right people, unless you're not the top 1%, and I'm sorry, you're not really going to go anywhere. And I'm not talking about professional. I'm talking about getting your schooling paid for, taking the next step, right? And that's what it comes for kids. Like, kids, bless them, man. They're just trying to play. Like, they just want to play because they love the game. That's how it started for all of us. But then it comes to the point, okay, I want to play higher, right? My goal is to make the NHL or whatever it may be. And they start to climb. They get discouraged on the way because maybe they didn't know a coach or they didn't know the right team to try out for in order to crack that lineup. And then unfortunately what happens, they hang them up. They hang them up when they're like 16, 17, 18 years old. And then it makes you think, it's like, okay, wait, why did you even start playing? Right? Or if you think about yourself, why did I first start playing? Because I love this. I love doing this, right? So that's really dope, Mike. Like, that you're able to guide these kids, and hopefully, I'd love to see if maybe you even have a team one day to do this. So there isn't even just one of you.
Never coach. Never.
Oh no, sorry, not coach, but just do the guidance. But you have people that.
That actually brings, I guess, into like a business that I'm actually starting up right now. Yeah. So I'm doing basically kind of what you're talking about. It's called Pro Guidance. And it's going to be basically mentoring young individuals and families for that matter, between the ages of 7 to about 15. And there's going to be, broken up into different groups. And essentially what it is it's showing you the pathways of hockey. And it's kind of giving an outline of, hey, you're at this point here. Well, these are the different paths you can go, right? Because everybody has a different path. Your path's not the same as his or mine, right? Like for example, I went to California, I went to Minnesota, then France.
Not a one size fits all. That's so true.
Not a one fits all, right?
Yeah.
It's so many different ways, right?
100%,
especially
yeah.
now too. There's there's the HPL, there's the JPHL, there's minor hockey, there's women's hockey, there's academies, there's major midget. There's so many things.
That's just
right?
BC.
And that's just BC, right? Yeah. So being able to help families find the path and understand, hey, should you be playing in this league that is $10,000 a year? Well, what's the opportunity cost of that? If minor hockey's $1,000,
that's huge, man.
What if you put $9,000 into development? Yeah. And you worked with the development coach, you put that $9,000 in. What do you think you'll be better? Right? And there's no correct answer, right? With Pro Guidance, there is no correct answer. It's just facts. Right? It's just telling you the facts, and then you can make your own decision, trying to make it more of a safe community for people to come to get the answers. Because I have parents who call me every day and they ask me questions and they're asking about, hey, I have nothing about hockey. Well, it's like, if there's a platform that you can go to that you feel safe and you can ask those questions that you might think are silly, well, that's a good business.
Of course. Because going back to your story too, you talked about, you got that phone call, right? Someone inviting you out to California. If you're able to do that for a kid now, but obviously not sending them out to California, but playing for that team that will get them to France, you know what I mean, or to get them wherever to get their schooling paid for or whatever it may be. That's dope. I think that's awesome, because I am legit sitting here thinking about when I was growing up. I legit didn't know about major midget academies, anything like that, until I was like 17. And by then, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, you're kind of aged out in a sense. unfortunately, right? It gets harder and harder to get the older you get. I mean, I don't have a kid yet, but like, give me a discount if I sign him up for certain.
He comes in, If the shakes keep coming, then you're good.
Oh, he's sick.
The shakes keep coming.
You got it on record, right?
No, that's amazing. Like, I think it's so important to have someone that can literally walk you through the process, because you think of a lot of people, it's cookie cutter program stuff. But as you said, weighing the opportunity cost of this league, this training camp, this organization, whatever it may be, like, that's amazing. I can't think of anybody else offering a program like that.
Well, yeah.
Or anybody that's really doing that, especially for the younger.
Yeah, no, it's like I've looked into it a little bit of like who is doing this, and there's nothing exactly like it. There's, spin-offs of different ideas kind of thing. But yeah, like honestly, someone's helping me with this as well, but he's a very, very intelligent person and has, been there, done that kind of thing. And I guess he's been watching me because I, run an on-ice business as well. And I guess he kind of, said, hey, can we go for lunch? And I was like, sure, like, no reason not to. So I went for lunch with him, and he kind of, said, hey, you have a lot of knowledge in your brain. Every time I talk to you, you teach me something. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, thank you for, in the hockey context, he teaches me something every day too about, he's very into AI and all that kind of stuff, right? But he was like, hey, you should put this on a platform. And then, because, you would be able to save families thousands of dollars, because time, energy, tryouts, travel, all of it, right? And then just basically put it onto how it's going to work is there's going to be different sessions. I'm going to have a big video vlog. So it's just going to have every single league in there. And it's just going to have a full breakdown of every single league, what it looks like. Everything's going to range, obviously. Like, one team might cost this, one team might cost this. But it's more just a strategy of like, what should we do? How serious are we about this? I personally really believe in development, right? As opposed to, playing at, like certain leagues, it's very expensive. I came from a family that didn't have as much money. Right. So, if you can find a way to get development, even if that's going to one development session and getting your mom to sit there and record it, and you do that development session, and then, hey, we can't afford to go, Johnny. But hey, let's do these drills and let's put on some rollerblades, and, you can go find, a court to go do those drills. There's so many alternatives. Like, I used to do things like that because, my family, like I said, like, I played at the Winter Club, but, that was hard on my family, right? My family gave a lot of sacrifices for me to get to where I went to in hockey. And thankfully it worked out the way it did because, now it's, helping me, provide for my family as well.
Absolutely. Breaking down those barriers. I think we all know that hockey is pretty much the most expensive sport.
Yeah. Jazzy, what do you got on that? What's the most expensive sport?
To hockey for sure.
Right? Jazz is a freaking goalie, man.
Like anyone
that's paying a lot of money was this guy.
No, I don't play goalie anymore.
Yeah.
With 2K worth of gear, I was sitting there.
Yeah. Let's spend another 1K to get the player gear.
Yeah, I mean golf. Like, there's certain sports that are expensive, but like, hockey is definitely, it's not cheap, right? You kind of know where you're going into. Like, I think minor hockey, I don't know, it's $1,500 I think for the year. But like, the thing about hockey is like, if you're playing hockey, you're most likely not just playing hockey. You're doing the development, you're eating right, you're working out, you're doing all the things because that's what you have to do. You have to. If you don't do that, then there's really no point unless you're just playing shinny with your buddies, right? Like, there's
gear is expensive before everything else. Like,
the skates, the sticks, like sticks now, like and sticks are like $4 or $5.
Unfortunately, that's one of the biggest problems with hockey too, right? It's the cost. It's the startup cost for a lot of kids. Like, I see, different organizations and stuff doing things for kids when they're trying to get into hockey. I've seen that, which is dope. But it, like Mike said, it's not just the gear, man. It's not just paying for that one fee for your team. It's like, hey, what if you have a tournament 6 hours away, which is very likely you at least have one or two of those a year, right? The gas costs, the hotel costs, things like this. Things that honestly I didn't really think about when I was a kid. But the older I got, I was just like, holy shit. That was just... Yeah, shout out to our parents for letting us play, man.
Funny story about that. So, obviously, my dad took me everywhere. He was like, I don't think my dad missed one of my practices my whole life. He still comes out and watches my men's league games.
What a beauty.
He's a beauty legend.
You got to meet him.
He's Mike Nolan Sr.
I was just going to point that out, too.
I'm Mike Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did you guys meet him?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I must have missed him.
Yeah, just a legend. But yeah, so I remember, so when he was, I was in France, And he was like, I don't know if I'm going to come. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to buy your ticket and book it. Then you won't have a choice, right? So I just bought him a ticket, booked it, and I called my sister. I was like, hey, like, let's get his days off. So anyways, he shows up to Europe, pick him up. He's stoked, obviously, never been over to Europe. And I remember the first time we went to go get a coffee, he was like, went to go pay. And I was like, hey, Dad, like, do you remember all those tournaments you took me to as a kid? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, hey, like, this is your tournament, buddy. Like,
That's dope.
nothing here you're paying for.
for you.
Like, this is your tournament, right? And that was kind of like my way of being like, thank you, I guess. Obviously, it wasn't even, it was meaningful, but, obviously he put a lot more time and effort, but, it was the least I could kind of do in that sense.
I know. They say you'll never be able to repay for your parents for what they've done, but I mean, you got your whole life to try, right?
Like,
Yeah.
my mom would take me and my brother to the inn. She'd drop him off, pick me up,
You guys are so close in age too.
and then drop him off, pick me up, drop me off. By the time she dropped my game would end, his game would end, and then she go pick him up and pick me up. And it's literally like 5 hours that we're like after work. We're waking up at 5 o'clock, getting home at 10. And then now we're just playing beer league out here.
But hey, they're beauties too, man. They still keep up with us.
Yeah, they do.
Even Uncle, even Jazz's dad, like he'll come out and watch our games and criticize the shit out of all of us if we're not winning. We're not winning. But if we're winning, then we're the best team ever.
Game last year, playoffs, when after your wedding, he's like, what's wrong with you guys? You took 15-second shifts.
Played a charity tournament game this summer, and we got had quite a few pints the night before, and I think the game was at 11, and none of the team showed up. So there was only, I think we had 6 guys.
Thanks, boys.
Right? Thanks, boys. So I was like, all right. And I was, still kind of in one from the night before. So I ended up playing the first 15 minutes of the first period. Like 15 minutes straight.
Oh, man.
Like, it was nuts. And like, imagine that after a night of drinking too. Like, I was just like so mad at these guys when they showed up. Right? But yeah, it's fun.
Did Ryan Reeves say if you can't play hockey hungover, you shouldn't be playing hockey at all?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I think I said this to my dad the other day. I was like, because I haven't drank. Like, I really cut back alcohol. Like, I don't think I've drank in Canada since September. So that's what, September, October, no, that's like 3 months. It's not bad, right? I've done some trips. Okay, needless to say, I went to Texas. They don't count. It doesn't count, right? It's out of state. Yeah. But I was saying that to my dad. I'm like, it is so much easier to play hockey hungover than to go to work hungover.
100%.
So true.
It's so much easier.
So
Get the
true.
morale on the boys.
Right?
Right?
Well,
So
you're
true.
out there, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you got a little liquid courage. You might try that toe drag if you're out there.
Might just pull it off.
Right? Coach says something, you might do it. Hey, like zip it. You know, like you got a little bit of liquid courage.
Yeah.
Where like if for me, if I don't really have to be anywhere ever. So if I'm hungover, I'm just like I'm just gonna take a nap. Right? And I'll go hit the
Definitely.
sauna. I'll go get some fast food, and then I'm just done for the day. So that's kind of why I've just
Honestly, you're so relaxed after too, because you just sweat it all out and like you're just chilling after.
Yeah,
You know what I
just
mean?
sweat it
Get a
out.
good greasy meal in. You're just chilling.
Full steam showers and the beers.
Yeah.
That was the
No,
craziest
that-
thing
yeah.
in Europe too. Like they would openly crack beers in the dressing room after practice. There was no. It was like it was normal. Like you'd be sitting there and like the guy. Like I remember one time we went out the night before. It was like a Tuesday. Went out the night before. We had early morning practice in the morning. We're all sitting there and all of a sudden here. And this like one of the guys just sitting there just having a pint. This is like 9 a.m. right? Like we just had 8 a.m. practice. This guy's sitting there just cracks a pint and he's just sitting there drinking it. I'm like, might as well have one too. Might as well grab one too. All the boys are just having pints all of a sudden. It's like, might as well go to the mountain and get a couple. That's how it starts, right? Yeah. It was just so funny. It was just a free for all. I remember the first time I saw it, I was just shocked. And like the craziest thing about Europe too is like the coaches shower with you too. So that's definitely an oddball thing that I had
After
to.
the games, they're just stressed out.
Just like practice is just normal because we're all men, right?
Yeah,
I guess, but it's like more in like in North America, that's not too much of a thing.
Yeah.
But in Europe, I remember first time I'm in there and I shower and whatever, look up and I see my coach. What's going on in here? Right? It's like, just a
You're gonna
subtle.
roast me in the shower here now?
Pardon?
You're gonna roast me in the shower here?
No, it was like, how do you like practice? Like it was my first day. It was my very first day, right? It's like, great practice today. Great practice. And I was just like, and then I remember all of us went home and we're eating dinner because I had 3 roommates at the time. And all of a sudden we're all eating and my one roommate goes, how about coach showering about this game? You're all from North America, right? Everyone's thinking it. And then everybody's thinking it. All of a sudden he says that and I go, yeah. I was thinking that too. And one of the other guys played in Germany.
Yeah.
It was Hatcher.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, that's normal around here, boys." He's like, I had the same adjustment in Germany last year. It blew my mind. So I guess it's just normal. And if you think about it, it does make sense because like everybody on that team's an adult.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like there's any kids on the team or anything like that.
I can just think of the material right now of just the jokes and everything.
Yeah. No.
We won't really get into that right now. But if you're thinking it, you know what we're thinking right now.
You're thinking our thoughts.
If you're thinking our thoughts, yeah, the thoughts in which we are thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's backtrack a little. So Mike
Yeah.
Nolan Mortgages, you're advising, pro guidance, and then next level. What made you get into that program, training program here?
The On Ice?
Yeah, On Ice,
Deb. Shout out to Deb. The ring
Ooh, the rink queen.
Shout out
She
to the
better
rink queen.
listen to this episode.
Yeah.
You're gonna put it in front of your desk one day. You're not doing anything. Just stop.
Listen to this.
Yeah, just listen at 33 minutes. But yeah, Deb, so I've known Deb over the years just from like, renting ice. So normally I would train like my advisee clients, right? The junior kids.
Yeah.
And I guess there was someone who was running sessions around here and he was leaving. He was moving to Kelowna. And then I guess Deb kind of reached out to me, I'm pretty sure. And then she said to me, "Hey, like this guy's leaving. Have you ever thought about doing younger group sessions?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." She's like, "Well, do you want to?" I'm like, "Not really," right? Like, not really, right? Because I just finished retired. I was like, "Hey, like, I'm just done with hockey." Like, I didn't even want to be at the rink, right? I kind of like, I wasn't resenting it, but it was kind of like, I just didn't really want to do it. But anyway, she's like, "Hey, just give it a try and see if you like it. I'll help you organize your groups. I'll help you out," kind of thing. And then so I ended up doing it. I couldn't even film my first group. Like I think I had 2 kids, so like didn't even cover the ice. So Dev was like, she was very helpful though. And then honestly, I just loved it. It's so much different than playing, right? It's like I don't have to skate because I'm thinking, hey, I got to go out here and sweat and skate. It's like you're just spitting knowledge to the kids. Right? And it's very, very, very rewarding. Probably one of the most rewarding things in my life that I've ever had is when someone, I can understand how having a kid would be cool because, you teach someone something and then they do it and then they progress on to the next step. So like, I'm seeing some of these kids just become way better hockey players and impacting, some lives, right? So it's, it's very, very cool.
I mean, with all these things going on, I think one thing that stood out to me, especially is you, of course, being an athlete your whole life, but it really seems like to me that you kind of treat all your businesses as you are still like an athlete. You know what I mean? Like you just talked about not drinking since September or whatever it is, because what happens, like when you drink, you pretty much like make yourself sick for like 3 days. Yeah, especially at this age, you're hungover for like 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. So how that can impact all your endeavors is crazy. Like you're probably operating at like what 50-60%. I know there's people out there that can do it, but honestly, I'm not one of them.
I thought I was until I started looking at myself. Like,
Yeah, like when you have a lot of things to
can't
do.
do it.
Yeah, even for ourselves now, like me and Jess talked about, like we gotta legit treat ourselves like a professional athlete. So what does that mean? Getting the right amount of sleep, not partying every single weekend, which honestly I'm fine with now. Like I couldn't give a rat's ass to fucking go out and just go send it like all the time. Been there, done that. But also, yeah, eating well, training well. Just taking care of your body, because I feel like you do that. Like if you can check off enough things off your checklist, like those things that you're trying to make happen for yourselves will eventually happen. You know what I mean? You do the thing that you're doing for a long enough time horizon, it's gonna end up working out for you, right? I think Connor, we were talking about that today on the drive over here.
Oh, absolutely. Being ready, just like making sure that you're doing something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, what we were talking about was whether you're an athlete and you played a sport your whole life and now you're just sitting there waiting for the right moment. When this comes around, then then I'll be ready. Then I'll really take a stab at it. When it's like really like, no man, just do something, right? Kind of just like what you did after you finished talking about. You just started something, led to the advising, led to next level, led to this, and off you are, right? Like here you are now. And that's the thing that we have a message to like a lot of the kids that even come into our shop and stuff. It's like, guys, just do something, because ultimately when you do the thing, it will have you prepared for the next opportunity comes. It may not be a call from California for someone telling you to come play hockey for you, but it may just be a call for, hey, I got this business idea, like Jazz did for me. And because, I was already doing another thing, we were ready for this. We were ready, whether we knew it or not. It was going to be a supplement store, it was going to be a knitting business or a podcast business or whatever it is. We're ready because everything that we do up until that point has prepared us. Now, I found that, I don't know if you realized you were doing that or not, Mike, but that's something that really stood up for me, man.
I think I actually treat my lifestyle more serious now than I did when I was an athlete.
Interesting.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Right? Like a little bit, it's different, right? I think like I knew what I could get away with in hockey. Not very many people could toe the line.
Do you feel like you have more control now, or you had more control then? Like as being a professional
more
athlete.
controlled now for sure, but like like just being able to teeter, like I did well in college, right? Like I was on, I made academic team, and so my grades were good. But I knew what I had to do to get it done, right? I kind of knew, hey, I can go out on Friday, or I can go out on Friday, Saturday. I can go out on Wednesday too if I want, right? Now I'm just kind of like, number one, I don't really want to, because I feel like I've done, I don't know, I have so many experiences of like, going out and doing all that stuff that it has to really be something that I haven't done before. Going to the club really doesn't make me excited unless my buddies are in town, or unless I'm going for someone's birthday, or unless there's like a reason to do it.
Going on a trip.
Going on a trip.
Yeah.
New experiences. Now it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm just dialed in. Like I work 7 days a week, and some people would be like, oh, you're workaholic. It's like, no, like it's just the way I live, right? Like it's not like a work. Yeah, it's
just who I am.
I just like it.
It's what I like, right? Like I don't know. I just feel like.
And people will say, "Oh, well, I work too. We work too." But it's like that's all good, bro. Like I understand your work, but the thing is, like my work requires me to do this, or as of right now, and I'm choosing to do this because I really want to do it. Right? No different than if you were, let's just take it back to you being a professional hockey player, or like, let's go out with some boys. I have practice. Well, okay, like, everyone will understand that. Your family will understand that. But then when it comes to you saying like, no, I can't because I got to do this, and this for work, but it's like, oh, you work too much, or workaholic. You don't have time for this or this anymore, or too cool to hang out with the boys. But it's just like,
yeah,
it's like, guys, it's not that.
Priorities change.
Your priorities change, yeah, man. And man, when you love what you do, honestly, you just think about it all the time, and you just want to just honestly just be the best at it. I don't know about you guys, but
I just hate being hungover now.
Oh man, tell me about it.
Like, to be honest, like I've just been so like before practice, like you were saying, like when okay, you have practice next day, don't have drinks. Like I could have a few beers and go to practice next day. I really could. Right? Because I just I knew my limit. I knew what I could do. If I have a few beers and then try and go to work the next day, I can't do it. My brain needs to be, just because I have so much going on, right? Like, and I deal with it as it's coming, right? Sometimes, you have live mortgage deals, you have players getting traded, and then I have an ice session, and, you're creating a new business. So it's like, if I'm not 110% dialed in with my brain, I couldn't do it. Right? And that's kind of why I've came to that conclusion of like, okay, do you want to have your cake and eat it too? Or do you just want to work at it and just get it done? And I feel like if I keep this pace of working at, like I've been doing, I have fun. Like once Christmas happens, I'll have some drinks, I'll go out with my buddies, all that kind of stuff, right? But, if I can keep this pace for, 1 or 2 years, my life will be different. Right? My life will be different, and I can do different things that now I can do because I put that work in.
Totally.
Right? I'm doing the hard stuff now.
Yeah, because it's not like you probably will get there if you're still doing the drinking and all that. Like most definitely anyone listening, you probably will get there. But the point that Mike's trying to make, and I think the point we're making, is that we're trying to get there sooner. We're not trying to get there in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Like if you can do it in 2 and 3, why the hell not?
Let's bring it back a little bit. Give us your top 3 moments of your hockey career. Obviously, one would be your...
Yeah, one's got to be Europe.
It could be on ice, off ice.
On ice, off ice. Jeez, you got to tell me this question before, Give me a freestyle on here.
Yeah.
What do I got? Top 3 moments. Oh, one of them for sure was in Fresno. It was my first year. It was in El Paso, Texas. And it was against our rival. It was 3-2 with a minute left. And anyways, extra attacker, puck pops out. And I just buried it to tie it with 20 seconds left. And then we ended up winning that game in overtime. So that was a pretty special. My dad was there for that one. So that was pretty sweet. And yeah, maybe my first college goal, right? I remember that. It was at home. Actually, Vancouver guy fed me the puck through the middle. It was so funny. So it was my first game playing at home. So I was supposed to be on the 4th line. Coach comes up to me in warm-ups, says, hey, you're playing first line, wing. And I'm with 2 seniors, right? These guys are 4 years older, man. And he goes, hey, you're playing first line tonight. And I go, okay. So I go up to Millie and this other guy at feet. And I'm like, hey, let me know what to do. They're like, just give me the puck. I'm just like, I'm like, all right. They're like, hey, we're gonna run this play, you know, whatever. So, anyways, I remember it was like second period. Puck comes around. Millie feeds me, and the puck just comes right through the slot. Nobody around me, and I wound up for this huge clapper, and I was going top right. And anyways, I got a good piece of it, but went 5-hole right on the ice, and then I ended up scoring. So that was a pretty cool one. Or like, you know, even like my last college game, we ended up losing in overtime, but like it was just a hard fought battle, right? Hard fought battle, went into like, it was one game, then overtime, then a mini game, then overtime. So I think we played like 5 periods. Oh, damn. Yeah, 5 periods total, like 20-minute periods. Like a player on our team actually had a heart attack after.
Oh.
Yeah, like it wasn't, it was a lot. It was a lot to deal with, especially at that point, because we were rolling like 1-2, 1-2, maybe 3. Right, so it was like he was playing a lot of minutes, and he was fine. But yeah, it was a lot to deal with.
Did the style of hockey ever change from Fresno to college to Euro? Or was it all pretty similar?
100%. Yeah, like California was like, it was just a freelance out there, right? Like dirty, very, yeah, just more space, right? Just more space. College was like everybody's big, strong, fast systems. Like it was tough. Right? Like it took me like 3 years to figure it out. Right? Yeah, it was tough. College was really hard, especially I'm a smaller guy. And then Europe it took a little bit of adjustment, just the way they play, but Europe fit my style pretty good. Just because it was very east-west, hold on to the puck. You don't see something? Oh, circle back, go for a hot lap, right? Go get the puck. Like I'm used to just darting down the wall, cutting in, battling, getting in front of the net. He's like, oh no, just cut back, come around. You know, you don't like it, turn, you know, do whatever. So the European style I liked, but yeah, it's all different, right? So that's what I tell my players too. If like you're in this league or this league or this league, no matter even how you're doing, you're getting better because you're learning a different style of hockey, right? And you don't know where you're going to end up that you're going to be playing that style because every style from every league is different. I train tons of girls, right? I love training the girls just because they listen way better than the guys, and it's just not. It's more wholesome with the girls because you know obviously there's the the new WPHL, right? But like you know it's not the NHL, right? So like most of the girls that are playing hockey are doing it for the community and because they love the game or their family loves the game and maybe they want to go to college. So it's just a little bit more fun, right? Because it's not like, hey, you know, where's my kid going? Like, you know, is he going to the NHL or this and this, right? So it's just a little bit more wholesome. I really enjoy coaching the girls, but yeah, I get girls that come in my group sessions and then I work, do development for AFHA. For my development, my U11, a quarter of them are girls. Right? It's cool. You know, 25% of them are girls. And, you know, AFHA is getting bigger. You know, it's definitely growing. Even my dad said that to me the other day. So, yeah. Even like Delta Hockey Academy, like they get, I don't know, a lot of the girls there commit D1. So like there's a feeder like right by us. Like that's, you know, that's a main hub. So and they're good too, right? Like honestly, out of all of the skaters I've trained, 15 and under, the best skater I've had has been a girl, 100%. And like we would all sit there and just watch and we'd be like, wow, like just like, just everything just perfect. Yeah. Right? Yeah, she's awesome.
Like the mechanics, the girls, like you said, they're just good at the instructions, right?
Just so good, man. Yeah. Just so good.
I've noticed that too.
Their edges are just phenomenal, right? And honestly, like the girls I was out there with, like their edges were good too, right? They just listen, right? Guys don't listen. Girls listen, right? They take the time, they listen to you, right? They actually like put thought into it and they think about what you're saying, where guys are just like, duh, there's a puck. Like, let's shoot the puck against the boards and not listen.
Yeah. Toe drag here for no reason.
Yeah, toe drag.
Trying to juggle the puck. Just by everyone. If it hits them, whatever.
Like, I've noticed, like, just kids that listen and, like, actually just comprehend what you're saying and can implement it, which is obviously hard, but those kids get so much better so much quicker, right? Like, it's actually insane. If you act coachable. If you just listen to what the guy is trying to say to you, if he knows what he's talking about, with that being said, then you're going to get better, right? There's certain kids in our groups that like they'll listen and dial in, and then once you say it, they'll do it, and they're just 10 times better. And they'll just keep progressing because they're just listening and getting good habits.
If you could give a piece of advice to any kid, is it just to be as coachable as you possibly can?
Yeah, and work as hard as you can, right? Like there should be no time that you're not giving it 100% unless there's something going on, you know? But like even if there's something, you know, broke up with a girlfriend, well, this is a time to get out of that, escape it, go out there and shoot the puck and go fly around and get that sweat and get that workout in. There shouldn't be, I would say, yeah, work as hard as you can and just listen, right? And if you work hard and you listen, you might not go to the NHL. You probably won't go to the NHL, but at least you're going to be a good hockey player, and it just teaches you such good life skills.
No, exactly. And you think like that transfers even over to work as well. Like if you're a good competitor, a good athlete, you'll most likely be a good worker as well.
100%.
It's true. It's true what they say. If you're a stud on the ice, you're a stud off the ice too.
Yeah, I mean,
Most likely are.
most likely are. Most likely are. There
Some
you go.
outliers.
Little asterisk.
Stop looking at me, Mike. Stop looking at me.
Yeah, but there's certain people with like my advising business, right? Like my best players are the ones who always are on time, texting me and updating me. If they can't make a call, they're booking another one. Where some of my players who aren't playing in high of leagues, those are the ones who miss calls and don't tell me, don't text me after when I text them or reply. Right? It kind of it all is relevant.
Yeah.
Right? And it goes back to listening and working hard. Right? If you're listening to what I'm saying and you're working hard to work with them, well, that stuff won't happen. Right? So, yeah. But I'm only 28, so I don't know everything and don't pretend to know everything. But I think especially with hockey and guidance and stuff like that, I've learned from a lot of good people, and I've just kind of been a sponge for all these people, just
Definitely.
explaining different things to me.
A lot of life experience, you know what I mean? Like when you've lived in a different place, when you've been left alone, new challenges that other people don't normally come across. I mean, you'll have a lot of wisdom. It doesn't matter if you're 28 or 48, in my opinion. I mean, that's one of the reasons how you found advising or advising found you, because you probably learned one day like, hey, I got a lot I can give, right? A lot that I can give back. And I found like a lot of players that have played at high levels, they always have like coaches, parents, people that they've always looked up to. And then when you get older, you remember like, damn man, this person did a lot for me. And they're always the people that always want to come and give back, right? Whether it's the minor hockey association that they grew up playing in or the community they grew up playing in, and just kind of give back, because ultimately that leads to the next one, right? Like you might just inspire another kid. You might make the show come back and just start doing the same thing you did when you're retiring, right?
Yeah, I think that like whole thing you're saying about like giving back, like I never really understood what that was until I started doing this.
Okay.
Right? Like I never really understood like you're giving back to the community. I thought it was kind of an overhyped, overrated thing. Like, you're giving back. Like, what does that mean? I get it now. Right?
Okay.
Like I'm giving back all the knowledge that I got taught from all the people in the community. Now I'm giving it back. Right? So it kind of had to come full circle for me to actually understand. Because, community is important, right? And, you need to make sure that, you're not just raising athletes, you're raising people, right? And, I feel like a lot of these kids, I'm probably a fairly significant piece of their life because, you have your teacher, your parents, your buddies' parents, and then like your hockey coaches or sports coaches, right? So you need to make sure that you're, having fun with them too, but you're also, there's a fine line of like, you don't hit somebody with your stick in your head. And if you do, there's going to be a consequence, right? You wouldn't just punch somebody in the face with your fist, right? If you did, there's a consequence. So like little things like that, and just making sure that, you're trained to a certain sense of like, sternness and having fun. And, obviously, I go both ways sometimes, right? Like I'll be stern or I'll be, too fun, but I try and teeter that line as fairly as I can.
When you got into it, like, especially the advising and stuff like that, was it more so it's like, hey, I can be good at this and I'll do this, and then you kind of found out like, damn, like, this feels pretty good, like, or was it more like, like you're coming into it from a, I don't know, like giving back perspective?
Yeah, the advising stuff's different. I just thought it was...
just the whole, I guess, whether it's the advising at the next level.
Yeah,
I was mixing them up.
Yeah, the advising is like, giving back in the sense of like, I know a lot about these leagues. Like I talk to some families and like they won't even know what this means or this league, or they're just very nearsighted, right? So if they're living in Alberta, they're just focused on the Alberta League, where there's 20 leagues, right? So I provide options to all leagues and make sure that you understand, like I educate my kids. I educate them on, hey, this is this league, this is this one, this is what this does, this is where you can go, this is your option here, right? So yeah, I guess it is giving back with the knowledge, but there's more, I feel like that's more like the mentorship piece, right? Like those kids, I'll probably have a couple texts from after this podcast of, you know, what they're up to, right? Like I text these kids all the time because after their game or, you know, different things like that, like, you know, players moving through, you know, a trade right now. And, you know, there's so many different things that are going on. Our families reaching out to me. So it's a more of a mentorship piece as well, but, you know, obviously guiding them in the correct route.
Being there to help you with not only being a great player on the ice, but being able to help you manage some situations as well.
I truly believe that it's not just on ice. It's like creating your character to get, because at that level, everybody's good. It's true, right? Like once you get to the higher level, everybody's good, right? It's the difference of like, you know, are you a good person off the ice? You know, character checks, you know, the little things, right? I played with some great hockey players that had a really bad attitude and very bad work ethic, and I ended up playing longer than they did, right? And I wasn't as good as them, right? I just had a better attitude, and I worked as hard as I could every day, right? Yeah, and obviously you're gonna have bad days, you know. Like I'd be the last person to say I haven't yelled at a few coaches in my day, but you know, if you learn the hard way, then you're out of the lineup the next night. So
Yelling at your coaches. How does it feel being back in the same building as Yale where you grew up playing?
yeah, so I didn't really grow up here because Yale, when I played, we went to ARC. So it was a little bit different. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit, at the beginning, it was kind of funny, right? Seeing like Brad and Billy and Andy. But they're super good guys. You know, Brad used to scare me a lot as a kid and still kind of does scare me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. But he's a nice guy, right?
Yeah.
It's nice being an adult and seeing him because, you know, we'll have like an actual conversation where when I was a kid, like you're just timid.
Yeah.
He's an intimidating guy.
And he's your coach, right? So.
Yeah, but he was basically like my development coach. So like I skated with this guy all the time, right? And like there was a few instances. I've had a few, you know, interesting times with Brad, and I think he is obviously, you know, I wouldn't say happy, but you know, he's cool with what I'm doing. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, he's, you know, joking around. Hey, you stole my drills, Nolan, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, yeah, you invented skating up and down the ice, right? But it is kind of true though, because if I'm looking at like realistically, yeah, because he did teach me how to skate. So what I am repeating to these kids, you know, essentially it is the same thing. Obviously he's way better. He's produced so many NHLers, but you know, he started somewhere too, right? He started somewhere too, and you know, he is the best. I think he's the best in the, I guess it's Fraser Valley in the mainland. Like he's the GOAT, I think.
Well, we did Zach Benson through the leg goal today.
Oh yeah, that was
He
dope.
played for Brad too.
He did, yeah.
Look at, you can go down the list of all the NHLers that Brad's taught. It speaks for itself, right?
Definitely.
And that's not even including the guys that just played pro, like myself, or played college, like a bunch of other guys. He knows what he's doing. Yale knows what they're doing too. You know, I'm a big supporter of Yale hockey for sure.
Mikey, do you still watch hockey?
No.
Really?
Not as much, yeah. No, not as much. Yeah, no.
Like, how many games in a year?
I haven't watched one game this year.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
Why is that?
No reason. Like I don't play hockey either, which is
I know you don't.
crazy,
It took
right?
us. We called Mikey up for one of our games. We were short players.
We're gonna ban him from the shop.
Yeah, and it took us. It took us a good amount of effort.
to get this guy out.
Yeah, it took us a good amount of effort to get him out, and he was friggin' sick. Mikey lit it up, and we won. And he told us after, yeah, I'm never coming again.
Rest of the boys have come.
I just don't like playing. The reason I don't like playing is because people are cheap and people think it's the NHL. So like I'm sick of getting when I was playing, you get hit, you get slashed, whatever. I'm cool with it. I'm past that point in my life.
Because you're getting paid for it at that point too, right?
Paid, but like it's just like it was different, right? So it's like even it's high level hockey. So, but even when I was playing in men's league, I wouldn't really care if that happened to me.
Yeah.
Now, if I get slashed or if someone knees me or someone hits me in the head, I get very, very, very mad. It like ruins my day.
So I got shit to do in the morning,
it's like,
man.
not even that. It's like I just want to like. It's just I just take it personal. I don't know why it is. I just like literally. I'm like, don't, right? Like that's not fair. Like this is non-contact. You know, you shouldn't be slashing or kneeing or doing dirty stuff. Yeah, it just bugs me. And then obviously, you know, sometimes I will play in lower div. So, you know, if you're playing with a bunch of goons, they're obviously going to target me.
Yeah.
And it's just not fun. I just don't, I don't enjoy it like I used to at all. I'd rather do like a game of like pickup hockey. Right? Like a bunch of buddies, 20 guys that all know each other, rent the ice, 2 goalies, and you can just go out there and just scrimmage.
Just mess around, have some
Right.
beers after.
Yeah, that's fun. Like I'll play with my buddies the odd time, but I just don't enjoy it. And same with like watching hockey.
Do you look at the game differently now?
Yeah, a little bit. I think so. I think like, yeah, I just don't. I follow hockey, put it that way.
Okay.
I know what's going on in the NHL. I just don't watch it. Right? I just don't. Number one, it's a long time to sit down and watch a 2.5 hour game.
It's true.
Right? And I'll catch highlights and stuff on Instagram. But yeah, I've never really been someone who really dialed. Like, actually, you know what? I watched that. Have you seen that threes? The hockey threes? Like, it's like 3-on-3 league or whatever. I was watching that last night. It was
I haven't heard of that, actually.
Dude, it was sweet.
Okay.
I was watching
Where's this
it
based
last
out
night.
of?
I think it's based out of Canada or the States. It's a really good. It's super fun because it's just like breakaways, 2-on-1s. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty shot.
Smaller rink or full
No, it's
200?
full size.
Oh,
rink,
whoa.
yeah.
Full size.
Yeah.
They do that 3-on-3 rinks with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a full. It was really cool though. Like that, I would watch that. You know what I mean? Like I would enjoy watching
More
that.
action going on.
Yeah, more action, right? But yeah, no, don't like playing hockey anymore, and don't really like watching it anymore. Just kind of enjoy the coaching. On the other hand, I love it.
I guess it makes sense because, I mean, you played it for what, 20 odd something years, and you were doing it so often. Like, how many practices, how many games a week? And then, yeah, like I get that. I could see that.
Especially in the summer, like you train all year, and then you come home in the summer, and then you got to get ready for next season.
Yeah.
So then you're like working and like playing hockey, and yeah, just get over it, right?
Yeah,
Like, you
totally.
Just get over it, right? You just get over it. Like I'm just good. Like it doesn't. A lot of guys get super fired up to go to men's league, and that's awesome, right? It doesn't get me.
But us
going.
right here.
It doesn't get me going. It doesn't get me
Once a
going.
week, sometimes twice.
Yeah, but the only
twice
reason
a
I miss men's league, I guess, and I guess the only thing I miss, like I don't miss playing like on a team, I guess. I don't really miss watching hockey. I miss going to the rink and seeing my buddies.
Yeah.
Right? That's probably the one thing that I do miss. And then, I'm like, okay, well, come coach. And then why are you coaching? Come out and play. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, I might as well play, right?
I even have had that. I'm sure you guys, you probably had that too or something.
Honestly, seeing the boys probably makes
Yeah, that's the only reason you go, because like I'm getting to see my
reason you go.
boys. Because there's times you're just so tired of it, like fuck, man, I don't feel like playing. It's like a 10 o'clock game on a Sunday. You're like, what the fuck, right? Like I got things to do.
Yeah, shit going on in your personal life. You're like, I just need to get away.
Yeah, and you just forget about it for like 2 hours, 3 hours, or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
and that's the best, right?
Yeah.
Just seeing the guys, being around everybody. So that would be the one thing that I do miss. But honestly, like, I don't know how I used to do it, because like sometimes I'll play a game and it'll be like 8 o'clock, and then I'll wake up in the morning and I'll feel like I drank 20 beers the night before. Like I'll feel so dehydrated and tired and like just like
Fatigued, yeah.
fatigued, and I'm just like, oh, this sucks. So that's another reason too, is just like I just feel
I think you need proper supplementation.
I mean, we did get you on supplements here recently.
yeah, you guys.
Mikey's got jacks. I've
never-
hooked up with this. I'll tell you that much. This
got-
buddy
you got-
over here used to take friggin' vegan protein for no goddamn reason.
What
Because
do you
he
think? I think this
found it
vegan
on
one-
Amazon. He's like, yeah, it's super. I remember when I first met him, I was like,
Has
this guy's
everything in
solid.
it.
He told me, like, what do you take? And no hate on vegan protein. Hey, if you need that vegan protein in your life, there's the good ones to take and there's bad ones. I'm talking.
Come visit us. We'll help you find the right.
Yeah, visit us at the supplement house. We'll help you find the right protein. Mikey was just taking just the Amazon special, and it made me question if I was gonna like him or not. Ended up being a solid guy. So I mean, here we are.
he's
We're
all right.
I think he's all right. But yeah, I think we changed his life. Safe to say we changed his life, Jess.
In the fitness realm, you guys actually took me outside of anywhere. I've never taken creatine. I've never actually had protein in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I bought protein and then it would just sit there.
Yeah,
Like,
how
I'm
about-
actually crushing protein.
Oh, we know you are.
I'm crushing protein. I'm crushing protein. I'm doing creatine. I got the greens.
Yeah.
You gave me something the other day. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what it is. I'm a little bit scared,
But it's good for you.
It's good for you. Apparently, it's for your mind or something.
Yeah.
So I took a couple of those. So I don't know. You got me on the
Ginkgo biloba.
BCAAs. Yeah, you guys got me on the EAAs.
Yeah.
But honestly, yeah, no, I feel great. Especially like the EAAs. To be honest, that has been. I got my old man on those too.
Oh, there you go.
We're having those. It makes you feel good in the morning. I
You
guess
take
it's just
PVOs, BCAs plus EAs, right?
yeah, I take that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He takes
The
an EA
combo or
supplement
whatever.
with the electrolytes.
Yeah, I mean, just
A little bit of bioperin in there for absorption.
yeah,
No big deal.
You can see Mike,
that might-
you can see Mike's shirt's getting smaller too, So
Yeah.
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 I'm walking in every day this week. Jesse's, man, you're looking pretty big. I'm like, zip it, Jack.
I'm wearing a hoodie tomorrow. I'm gonna come in it tomorrow.
They're so used to just ragging on each other, making fun of each other.
It feels so
The moment you
uncomfortable,
see
eh?
something nice, it's like, shut up, man.
Complimenting your boys is the most like uncomfortable.
Yeah,
thing.
Stop messing with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Boy, you're looking pretty big. You're looking pretty big. Shut the fuck up.
You look in the mirror like, what's actually wrong with me?
Yeah. Like you live here, like just walking, you just like kind of stop. Just like,
What is he looking at? All right, guys. So what we're gonna be doing at the end of each podcast here is we're gonna get our guest here to pick their favorite supplement, since the House Talks is sponsored by the Supplement House. So Mikey, take it away here. What's your favorite supplement?
So starting here, we got a PVL Gold Series, EAA plus BCAA, complete advanced amino acid formula.
That was pretty good. Not gonna lie, give you that.
Okay, so
he can read.
yeah, I can read.
Not just
I
a
can
hockey
read.
player, not
I
just a
can
hockey
read.
player.
I actually like the Orange Crushed. It's very good. The boys will actually be able to tell you why this is beneficial, but since I've started taking it, I just have more energy. I feel better. I got my old man on it. He's drinking them as well. Yeah, just like the taste. Makes me feel better in the mornings. Gives me more energy, and I feel like I don't crash.
Mike clearly said PVL Gold Series, the EA plus BCA complete. So what is this, guys? So this is an amino acid supplement. It is not only an amino acid supplement that's going to help you with recovery and help with protein synthesis. Protein synthesis is a very fancy word for muscle growth, but it also has a hydration mix in here. Why our boy Mikey likes it so much, as he is an athlete, he does more than just the gym. It is gonna keep his muscles hydrated, because if you're working out and you're guzzling down a whole bunch of water, the question becomes, how much are you absorbing? So the hydration mix in here will help you efficiently keep yourself hydrated. It has an ingredient here called bioperin. Bioperin is gonna help increase the absorption in here. So this becomes a much more efficient product for not only recovery, but for hydration purposes as well.
So PVL Gold Series EAA plus BCAA complete is gonna be on sale, 20% off with code Mike. Make sure you guys come grab one of these.
You heard that right. 15% off PVL Complete EAA plus BCA for the month of January to get you started off right in the new year. Make sure to follow Mike on Instagram at nexlevelhockey.ca and mikenolan.mortgage, and check out his website nexlevelhockey.ca. Happy New Year's, everyone, and
Be good.